Acetone, methanol, and hydrous ammonia.
There you go.
The ingredients sound like a mad chemist's cookbook. But in fact, crystal meth is a mix of common cold medicine and household chemicals. But while many of the ingredients can be found at your local drugstore, making meth can be highly dangerous, combining combustible chemicals in less than ideal conditions. The results can be explosive. People who make the drug take their lives into their own hands, and there can be serious risk for those trying to stop them.
Guys ready?
Just about.
Scientific research has proven that entering a meth lab is like walking onto a hazardous waste site. Today, more and more police wear protective gear, but that's a far cry from how it used to be.
Oh, it was the ultimate rush to go into a lab, kick the door, run in and throw people down.
Your hands behind your back.
We were 10 foot tall and bulletproof.
Kelly Call was one of many police officers working narcotics investigations in Utah in the 1980s and 90s.
Check the back door. Open the door now!
We would run in. First guy in would make sure nobody was in the lab. We would start unplugging cookers. We would open windows, then run out and catch our breath.
It's called air out before you pass out. One unlucky police officer is assigned to open the door, run through the lab, open every window, and run back out while still holding his breath.
Charles Ilsley, a forensics expert who investigates meth-related cases, was an undercover narcotics officer in Utah in the early 1980s.
You walk out moments later with a severe headache and ears ringing and dizzy for hours after you've left the lab.
Your tongue would be numb, or you'd have a soreness in your throat. Some guys had blurry vision.
Robbie Russo figures he was in about 100 labs during the 1980s and 90s.
The odors and the chemical were so strong. I remember going home, and I would always undress in the garage, but I remember taking off a shirt, and the shirt would shred, you know, from the chemicals, like if it was exposed to battery acid or something, and it would shred. I remember coming out the next day, and my tennis shoes were, you know, separated and apart.
We went in, no protective clothing. We were lifting items, smelling them, handling them. We had no idea what we were dealing with.
To give you an idea of how little attention was paid to safety, police officers were taught to waft, where you hold a chemical container in front of your nose and with the other hand intentionally waft or wave chemical fumes into the nose so you could do a field test or form an opinion about what the contents were. Frightening part is that was stressed as the safe way.
But it was anything but safe.
That's just extremely dangerous. And sometimes some of these chemicals, just one quick breath like that can cause irreparable harm.
Not only that, but nationally renowned scientist John Martini has discovered that merely being in a meth lab unprotected is dangerous.
What we really determined was that if you're a law enforcement officer and you have the unfortunate experience of walking into an actual ongoing cook, that you will be exposed to airborne levels of chemical that will and can cause you significant harm.